So hi everyone, this is the third video in the critical essay series, and this one is looking at the first thing you have to do when you actually go to write the essay itself, which is the introductory paragraph. So, any essay, any bit of writing that you do should have some sort of introduction. So what we're going to look at here is how you put together the introduction to the critical essays, and this is really the same for National 5 Higher communication courses. I've taught much the same approach to advanced higher and undergrad students before. What you'll find is that the template I'm going to show you is the ideal starting point. Some of you, particularly those in the higher class, might eventually go beyond it or expand on it or something like that. But if you aren't already familiar with writing lots and lots of critical essays, which I suspect most people aren't, then this, in my experience, is the best way into it for students. So, what does an introductory paragraph do in a critical essay? Three particular jobs. So, you need to tell the marker basically which essay question you've chosen. That should be clear, and what text you're using to answer that. So that's the first part, or the first sentence. You should give an outline of the text that you're dealing with. At the kind of level that we're at, that can be nice and brief. A single sentence is absolutely fine, maybe two at a push, depending on your writing style. The third one there is the bit that sometimes surprises people. You need to answer the essay question in the introduction. At least give a clear indication of how you'll be answering the question. You shouldn't leave that open. So by the time a marker finishes the introduction, they should know what they're expecting from the rest of the essay. That's important because if you want, for example, at higher English or National Higher English to get really high marks for a critical essay, an awful lot of the marking comes down to relevance, to how well you have kept the essay coherent and related it to the essay question itself in terms of answering that question. If you answer the question in the introduction, you sort of take control of the situation. You make clear, this is what the answer is, and then you just set about explaining why that's the case, and it significantly increases your chances of getting very good marks, or in the case of the communication and literature students in the SWOP and Access courses, it'll increase your chance of your essay passing first time. And this is what that looks like. So you can see how the colours match up. And this here should be treated as a template. So the stuff in the square brackets and the colours, that's the stuff that you fill in, basically. The rest of it stays the same. And as I say, over the year that might change. By the time we get to the end of the year, near the exams, you might be writing things that are more sophisticated than this. That'd be great, but everybody should be starting with this template as the basis. Okay, so I mean, obviously to read it all out to you, this is a video so that you can pause things and rewind and stuff like that. But the next slide is going to show you what this actually looks like in the context of an essay question. So, if that's your essay question there, they choose a poem which creates a character for whom the reader feels sympathy, this is what the answer ends up looking like. So war photographer is the text. You can see at the end of the first sentence we've referred to the essay question, leaves us feeling intense sympathy for the title character. The second sentence gives us a wee overview. It's not a text we've studied yet, obviously, but gives you an overview of what the text is about. And then the last one gives a few examples of the kind of techniques that come up, and the only wee bit you can't see there because of my face is a terrible emotional burden on our behalf. So what that's doing is it's saying this is how the author has built up my sympathy for this character, and why that's relevant to the whole text. The blue bit there answers the essay question that you can see above it, and that's really, really important. It's probably the most important part, actually, of the introduction, although you do need to do all of it. Some advice then. Use this template. Use this video. Mimic that template, at least at first, okay? If it turns out that after 2 or 3 essays that you can do it absolutely fine and you can do better than that, then that'll be okay. But use the template at first and do lots and lots of practice. Once we start doing the text, once we start doing essays, you don't need to write whole essays to practice introductions. You should be able to write introductions for basically any essay question at any time as part of your studying and part of your practicing, and make sure you pick hard questions as well. Less of an issue at the start of the year, but as you go on, what you sometimes find is that students always pick the safe questions that they know how to write the intro for. It's only worth it if you pick the stuff you can't already do. And finally, the goal at the end of this is that you'll be able to read an essay question and have an introduction fully written and down on the page in less than 2 minutes. Even less than that if possible. If you can do it in less than one, that's amazing. To give you an idea, it takes me probably about a minute or so to write a critical essay answer just from scratch, a question that I haven't seen before. So obviously you would expect me to be able to do it more quickly. This is kind of my job, but ultimately that's where you will be in the end. It's just in order to get there, the only way to do it is by practice, 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 and doing all the hard stuff and using the template as well. So if you make sure that right from the start, you're making sure you get the introductions right, it'll minimize the amount of work we have to do later on to fix mistakes that are being made, and I absolutely guarantee you it'll lead to the main paragraphs, which is going to be the focus of the next few videos. It'll make your main paragraphs much, much better as well. Okay, so usual thing at the end here, any problems, any questions, email me, send me a message, that's fine. And the next video will start taking us into what the main paragraphs where you make your arguments, what they look like and how you construct them. Okay, thanks.